You're watching Washington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
All right, we're back. The legendary coach and athletic director now of the New Hanover County School System, Joe Miller, is our guest here on WILM Wilmington this morning. Coach, let's talk a little about all this controversy that's come into play regarding the federal law referred to as Title IX. First of all, for any of our viewers that may not be familiar with what Title IX is, can you give us a little brief outline of that and some of the controversy surrounding it?
Yeah, Title IX was instituted in 1972, which basically says we are going to give females athletes the same equal opportunities that we give male athletes. That's all, and that was the initial structure of Title IX. In other words, if we have 4 boy sports, we're going to have 4 girl sports. If we pay the men coaches this amount, we're going to pay the women. So
it's equal opportunity for both genders.
And fair, yes, and that's kind of where it started. Now, with that being said, and some of the things, and the controversy, i.e., surrounding New Hanover County, we have known because most of our schools were built prior to the Title IX issue coming in, i.e., Hoggart, Laney, etc. Along with adding sports, kind of how are you going to go back and do it? Like we have just completed Ashley High School. Ashley High School is a brand new school, has all the bells and whistles, and meets all the needs. As we keep adding sports, we got to, and these are some things that we got to think about. Now, during the budgetary process, what happens is that you may have 400 or 500 items on capital outlay that schools are requesting across the board on all avenues. Well, when athletics...
And a set number of funds.
Right. And then when athletics request it, well, this is a Title IX issue, and it gets prioritized, it always goes to the end of the barrel.
Because it's
so
athletic.
That's why it's never, it wasn't addressed and it's never been done. The controversy that somehow or another my office lambasted them is probably as false as anything could be from the standpoint, I know in 1995, talking with the superintendent at the time, because I put in every year for the things that we needed, and he said, well, you know what, we don't have the money, we're not going to fix it, so when we get caught and they tell us we have to fix it, we'll fix it. And then later on down the road in the early 2000s, the school board, prior to these new members, specifically said do not turn in any more capital outlay projects because the principals will handle, and it was like double duty. So from my standpoint, it was recognized, it was noted. We have documentation it was noted, but somehow or another,
the administration was aware of it, the school
everybody
board
was aware
on every
of it.
level.
It just didn't muster up to the pass test as far as the priority list of where athletics fall.
It was reported that there were complaints, quote unquote, about noncompliance. Were you aware of any of that?
I was aware that we went through a Title IX review. They reviewed our facilities. It was, they had a parent that said, yada, yada, yada. And, the Office of Civil Rights came down and did a Title IX compliance review. We've met with them, we went through. And, if you've ever been through one of them, it is extremely stressful as far as trying to get all the information and all the stuff together. But the bottom line is that, as we keep adding sports and things, and
compliance increases.
Well, soccer was added since then. Lacrosse has been added since then. Girls athletics has really jumped to the forefront from when we just used to have.
So
it
used to be at the end of the line, compliance, because it took dollars. Do you think that's moved up the ladder of
they'll have
priority?
To do it. Yeah, they'll have to do it. Some of the issues that in our progression of what we're going to do to actually come into appliance to meet what they felt like we needed to meet is already being worked on and will be completed by 2010.
And in some ways, the issue and problems got laid at your feet.
Well, and you know, once again, that's a board member who is maybe not as experienced as some of them, but it's you know, it's the way it goes. The buck stops somewhere, I guess.
So everyone was aware that these issues were hanging out
Yes.
there, administration, school board, and when you would put in for it, it'd say,
Yes.
look, this is athletics, it's got to go to the
Yeah,
back
and,
of the
and
priority
basically
list.
it went into the pool, then it was prioritized, and you either had the money or don't. I mean, you know, you can't fix it if you don't have the money. And you know, and I'm not, and I don't, you know, as I said, and I said this in the paper, and I've also said, you know, you really can't put a finger on it or blame one person. Well, why didn't this happen? If you don't have the money, you know, I mean, we can't blame the county commissioners, we can't blame the school board, and we certainly can't blame the school personnel. If you put in for it and it doesn't get funded and you don't have the money, I don't fund, you know, the athletic department doesn't fund Title IX projects are reviewed. You know, we take whatever we get and we try to make the best of what we have.
Have you spoken with federal officials about the problems?
Oh,
directly?
yeah. I've met with them, Dr. Holliday has, and Dr. Lurch. I mean, you know, and we are moving to correct what has been, you know, designated that these things need to be addressed, and we're working on it as we speak right now.
How much money do you think the system will have to spend to fix it so that it meets the standards that are required?
I'm not. It's really hard. You know, it could be $100,000 to $200,000, something in there, you know, in the long range plan. Now, it's not something they say you got to be fixed tomorrow. You know, we have some. We've moved some things. We have done some things. We've adjusted some schedules. A lot of it was, you know, kind of ticky-tacky, but we do have some locker room issues and things that are being worked on right now that are in the budget for capital outlay projects that are going to be fixed immediately.
Why did you decide to retire now?
It's time. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. You know, I guess some of this had to do with it, where I felt like if some of our board members felt like they were getting side blasted, I maybe felt like I was getting a little bit side blasted. But
well, if this hadn't reared its head, would you have made the same decision?
I may have went another year or so. I don't know. I mean, I was, you know, after, I mean, I've had 41 years in education total, and you know, that's a long time. And it may be time for some new blood and some young energy and some stuff like that. But I really would hate to think that they were going to do away with the county AD position, because I think it's vital to our system.
You've had an incredible career in the school system. What are some of the highlights? And I know there's so many. Just some of the that come to mind that you're most proud of.
You know, I probably having Leon Brogdon and Coach Buck Hardy hire me would be a tremendous highlight. You know, I've had Coach Hardy was really special for me. Him and his brother Bill. When I first came here, you know, he was my best friend. He was my dad. He was my mentor, and you know, I've had the great opportunity to coach with him. And notice I didn't say under him. He never made it like that. And I hope that I tried to give some of that to the coaches that I had when I was coaching, that we coached together. You know, it wasn't, oh, he's the guy. You know, some of the teams that I had were just fabulous, and probably the kids. You know, we were really fortunate to have just some of the most outstanding coaches that you could ever have, and if it wasn't for the kids, you wouldn't get the accolades that you had. But you know, the Clyde Simmons and Kenny Gaddison and the Trot Nixons and the LG Crumplers, and you know, those are just a few of the superstars. But all the other kids who came out that went on and, you know, are productive citizens and good people that, you know, got to go to school and are just good people, and I still see them all today.
Yeah, Joe, we're going to come back and talk more about what's next for Coach Miller. Stay with us.